Hello everybody, welcome up to the broadcast. We've finally got a bit of sun, haven't we, for the Coffee Morning presented by Lavazza. And isn't this exciting, Rachel? We're down to our final four.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel it's kind of a thing of the changing of the guards though at the moment, Danny, because in both the men's and the females semi-finals, we only have one former champion in each side of the draw, because I think people thought there could possibly be two.
But this is the story. And we just don't know whether it's a final farewell. He's certainly upset, of course. And he's not about to hang about and discuss it.
I wonder whether that's the last time we see Roger Federer walking off centre court.
Well, that is the question I think everyone's kind of asking here at Wimbledon and all around the world from the tennis community as well. But I want to just quickly mention, Danny, I guess the atmosphere yesterday on centre court. I had a few people I know who are actually watching those great quarterfinals on centre yesterday, and they said during the Federer game it was kind of like a solemn atmosphere. People didn't really expect what they were seeing there. They possibly should have done though, because obviously he's had an injury now for the last 18 months or so, had 2 operations on his knee, hasn't really been the same Federer that we know so well, and has only kind of come back in March. So people possibly should have expected to see that a bit more. He hasn't kind of been as comfortable in the tournament so far as we have seen him in the past. But yeah, I think it was a sad moment for fans on centre court yesterday, because so many fans do come just to watch Roger Federer as well, and I don't think anyone expected that 6-love defeat in that third set. And I walked home with a couple of fans as well, and they were kind of like, well, let's hope the football goes our way, because most people in the UK, once the Brits go out, are obviously Federer fans. So yeah, it was such a shame to see, but we'll see. Obviously, got a couple of matches still to play. I think he's in the Lavazza Cup. And yeah, obviously not going to say goodbye to him just yet, but possibly here on the grass courts at Wimbledon. Yeah,
it was a shock though. I mean, much as you say, maybe people should have expected it. He's never, ever lost the set 6-love here at Wimbledon. And it's 19 years since he lost in straight sets here, since Mario Ancic beat him in 2002. Now, he did say that he's not going to retire immediately, which is good. He's going to take a little bit of time. But I do wonder, he's sort of not used to that sort of situation, he said, didn't he? He said he wanted a nap. He was so tired. It all sort of hits you, doesn't it, when you do end up out. I wonder if he's in the same position that Andy Murray was in when he lost, where the amount of work that he's had to put in to get himself into this situation, to be able to come back. I wonder if he wonders whether it's all worth it.
Yeah, and it's not nice, is it, to go out to a standing ovation, but for the wrong reasons. Yeah. A consolation standing ovation, I guess I would say it is. Someone like Federer kind of wants to retire on his own terms, not kind of been forced out. But let's talk about Hurkacz on the other side, because what a night or afternoon for him. And he was saying that I think the 11 games he got to play against Medvedev the day before, because of the rain delay, of course, really set him up perfectly for that. He said he'd never played on centre court before then, so that time out on court just gave him that experience, allowed him to feel more comfortable, even though he was going out the next day to take on Federer. And Federer was like, maybe they should have had a rest day. Didn't matter, did it? Not at all, in the form of Hurkacz, who played the game of his life, the match of his life there. And I'm sure today is absolutely on cloud 9, obviously setting himself up for the semi-finals. But I'd love to be in kind of Hurkacz camp right now and see exactly how he's feeling.
Yeah, I'd love to see what the reaction's like in Poland, because I can only imagine, because I mean, he's had 2 enormous wins now on centre court, as you said, beating Daniil Medvedev and now beating Roger Federer of all people. I'd love to know what the reaction's been like for him back in Poland, because I imagine he's an incredibly popular character. But he was excellent, wasn't he? I think you might be right that the set and a bit that he played against Medvedev the day before on centre, get that first experience. We were saying, even now after all this time, when we just walk into centre court, even we sort of are struck by
an occasion, isn't it?
Yeah, and just how big the place is. Because it is so, if you're used to playing on, court 8 or even court 2 or court 18 behind us, nice courts, but centre is just a whole nother level. It's so much bigger. And I wonder whether that sense of occasion, you can almost ignore that and just concentrate on your tennis like he managed to do yesterday.
He managed to do that, especially I think he was in a 6-match losing streak as well coming into the championship. So he's managed to kind of find his perfect form exactly when he needed it. But let's move on to talk about who he's up against.
Yeah.
Someone that's been playing magnificent tennis for the last few weeks now, who I feel should possibly be feeling the pressure because, he's the reigning Queen's champion, of course. He's coming here, obviously undefeated so far, making way through over a great friend as well, a kind of, we're going to say family, over Felix Auger-Aliassime. And that's quite a tough matchup for Hurkacz, would you say, even though he has just beaten a player like Federer?
Yeah, well, I remember reading a lot of profiles before the tournament, putting Matteo Berrettini into the final because they thought he might be the strongest player in his half of the draw. That is pressure, but he's on a 10-match winning streak on grass now. He's won 23 of his last 26 matches that he's completed. But it's been a good week, hasn't it, for Italian sport? My goodness, they're into the European Championship final. He's got a chance of getting to the Wimbledon final as well. I know he's a big football fan. I think he watched Italy's game against Spain on Tuesday night before he comes out to play on Wednesday. I wonder if that helps him take the pressure off a little bit, can take his mind off things.
I was going to say absolutely not. I'm surprised it hasn't worn him out, actually. The fact that he had to watch Italy and his girlfriend Tomljanovic play as well.
Like he watched Alja Tomljanovic on Tuesday, he was all energy, wasn't he, in the players' box?
Yeah, but he gave a big nod as well to Felix on the other side of the net on Instagram this morning. He just kind of said he feels for his good friend Felix. Big things ahead for you, because I think so. Only 20 years of age, and you could really see it possibly wasn't Felix's time in terms of physicality. He's got a lot of kind of muscle to grow until he's in the same shape as Matteo.
Yeah, he's a young man. He's still growing. He's still maturing. But Matteo Berrettini, he looked pretty good, I thought, yesterday. Physically, I thought he looked very powerful, very quick across the court. And I'm really looking forward to that semi-final. I think will be really, really entertaining. Hurkacz Berrettini. Yeah,
absolutely. And on the other side as well, we have another semi-final in the form of Novak Djokovic taking on Denis Shapovalov. Let's have a look into this semi-final.
Every time you play, the statistics go through the roof. I'm going to try and remember some of them for today. 315 Grand Slam singles wins. 41st Grand Slam semi-final you're through. 10th here at Wimbledon. What do those figures mean to you?
Do you want to travel with me as my statistic man? Or maybe a psychologist, because you are complimenting my career right now. You're
it's a great
influencing my confidence. Thank you very much for that.
Well, obviously he's the best player in the world, but I think, but I think anything is possible. And when you look at the scoreboard, for first thing on whatever it is, Friday, it's going to be 0-0. So that's it. So nothing else matters. It's a tennis match, and it could go either way. And I have full belief in me and my team. And we're all putting in the work. So for sure, I think anything is possible.
So Denis Shapovalov faces Novak Djokovic. Anything is possible, says Denis Shapovalov. Is it?
Well, I think if he was watching the match on centre court between Hurkacz and Federer, then possibly yes. I think that's the kind of upset. I'm still saying upset tentatively there, because obviously we know Federer's form of late, but that's the kind of upset I think these young players want to see. That there is a changing of the guard, like I mentioned on the top. That's going to give them the motivation and the mindset that they can do that as well. So possibly, he's young, he's 22, he's had a great run so far, hasn't he, at championships? Having the pressure of trying to beat Sir Andy Murray on centre court when the crowd wasn't on his side, and then Roberto Bautista Agut as well, two great tennis stars, and actually getting the British fans on his side. If he has that in centre court tomorrow, because Djokovic, never gets everyone on his side here. Federer always has them. Djokovic never really won the crowd over like the Swiss, but I think Shapovalov has done just that, and that could be his kind of extra armour there. Yeah,
it was interesting you saying that he managed to beat Andy Murray with the crowd against him. It felt a little bit like by the end of his post-match interview on court that the crowd were almost with Denis Shapovalov. They've really taken to him, the British fans here, and you can see why. He's very personable, seems like a really genuine, nice guy, and he's very good at the post-match interviews, isn't he? He's managed to get the crowd on his side, and it will be very interesting to see exactly how it goes down tomorrow, because I wonder whether the whole crowd might well be in Shapovalov's camp.
Well, it's going to come down to possibly the mental aspect side of things. And obviously Djokovic talks about his mental strength so openly. We've kind of heard his press conferences about the walls and how he's kind of, it's in his genes, his ability to win. Losing is never an option. And we were talking about it yesterday, I think, that Shapovalov just needs to believe. It's his first semi-final in a slam. He's watched what's happened throughout the tournament so far. And if he can just believe that it's possible and he can make his slam, then that's what he's got to do.
It's interesting, isn't it? We've seen all week pretty much so many players talking about the mental aspect of the game, lots of them working with psychologists and things like that to try and work on that side of the game. Denis Shapovalov even said as much. He was in the quarterfinals at the US Open at the tail end of last year. He got taken to 5 sets and lost. And he said after his match yesterday that he almost took the experience from that and then took his game to another level. He's got that mental toughness, and I think, as we're saying, this man Novak Djokovic was a bit of a trailblazer in that kind of aspect, treating your mind as much as you treat your body, and we're seeing the benefits of that from a lot of these young guys coming through now.
Yeah, totally. I can't wait to see both those semi-finals. There's so much going on, as there has been throughout the fortnight so far. I'm sure you haven't managed to say across it all, so that's why we have this video just for you.
Plenty of people involved in the theatrical industry in the Raw box today.
Clarkson banking up above. There his quickness came to his aid in a big way. A complete air shot on the attempted overhead. Still able to dance around it.
Well, the lady with the face mask, she thinks Novak is the GOAT.
Oh, Bilal. Be careful.
It nearly got really awkward, didn't it?
He's lucky in one way, unlucky in others.
Well, put that man in the slips. That's very well held. Oh, on the fly as well. Stinging bum cheeks.
Tim's fully committed to this match, but he's hoping that if they could get it over before 8 o'clock, that would be great.
Oh, he slipped. Unbelievable. And he had the whole court open. The point was over.
I think those facial expressions pretty much summed up the mood inside centre court yesterday.
Yeah, those people who are captured on camera there are not best pleased if they're watching this show, seeing those in slow motion. But right, if you guys are watching yesterday, we had a little bit of a quiz going on for you, because an artist, Amelia Noyes from California, she has been designing some great digital artwork over the championships for us, and she calls it "People Are More Than Just a Face." That's what she describes her artwork as. And we showed you a couple of tennis stars yesterday, Steffi Graf and Nick Kyrgios. He was the guy in question. We kind of showed you him without his face and said, can you guess at the end of the show who this tennis star is? Danny gave you a couple of clues just to help you out, which I don't know if they did or not. Possibly did. Anyway, some of you got it, some of you didn't. So we thought we'd try it again today. So we're going to show you a picture right now of some digital artwork from Amelia Noyes. Here it is on your screen. And we want to know who you think this tennis star is today. Let us know in the comments. Danny, are you going to give us some easy clues, hard clues today? Where are you going?
Well, I don't want to give it away too much, so I will tell you that this tennis player, we have seen them on the courts in SW19.
Again, that really doesn't help.
Well, you know, it's somebody current. It's a current player.
Sure.
And if you keep watching the show, this is somebody who was featured in our next little video a lot down the years. If you think you know who it is, pop your answer in the comments wherever you're watching, and we'll see how many of you get it right at the end of the show.
Okay, well, yes, Danny's talking about shots of the day. That tennis star on your screen has featured in that quite a lot, so maybe they'll do it right now. Keep your eyes peeled.
outstanding. Where did that power angle come from? Raducanu was tracking the cross. It had to be perfect, and she found it.
Advantage, Djokovic.
Getting one of these drop shots that I'm not so sure at this stage was the right choice. So we certainly saw it early and made a meal out of it.
I'll take that. Thank you very much. Impeccable timing.
30 all.
Oh, yes. What a shot at love 40.
Got there a little late, bought himself some time,
15-40.
letting the ball bounce low, and then whips it cross court like that. Recovered beautifully.
What a get. How on earth did he stay in that rally?
Hurkacz moves amazingly well for as big a frame as he has to get to this ball. Dennis hits a fabulous little flick, half volley. You know this is going to be in betweener. And Hurkacz still almost gets this ball.
Oh, wow. Beautiful, beautiful. He saw Federer about to swing at that volley. Sensed it was going to go cross court. What a shot come up with in that first point of this tie break.
Anticipated.
That's where you thought Roger had him, but he guessed right there again.
Oh, great reaction by the Canadian. Looked as if he'd gone the wrong way and given Berrettini another chance, but still, he takes it.
Just up the intensity from 5-all at the end of the third set, 4 games in a row. He's looking sharp, he's focused, and he's finding the corners.
Well, Danny's jumped out of shots to make way for Mel South. She's back again, former tennis star and now tennis commentator. Mel, thanks for joining us. I'm loving your outfit today. You're actually getting to watch the action, not commentate today.
Thank you. I'm really looking forward to getting out on centre and seeing the semi-finals.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about semi-finals, okay? Because we were having a little look, and the last 4 Grand Slams at the semi-final stage has been 16 different females, which doesn't it just show about the openness of the women's game?
Yes, it's very open, but it's very strong now with the depth of the game, how much people are putting time into both physical, mental, all different parts. So it really has risen, and that's why we're seeing so many different stars come up, and it's an exciting semi-final lineup today.
Totally. Let's talk about the first one. Let's talk about Kerber taking on Barty. In my opinion, this is the one, I'm going to say this is the one I'm most excited for. Do you think we're seeing maybe the resurgence of Angelique Kerber in this one?
Well, definitely. She would have been very disappointed with her Grand Slam results so far this year, not getting through the first rounds. But you come onto a surface like grass where you feel comfortable and you just gain all that confidence back again. And that's exactly what she's done. She has a very effective game on the grass. It stays low. She makes it tricky with the angles that she plays. And Barty will be up for a challenge today.
Yeah, Barty obviously has never got this far in the ladies' side of the draw. Obviously, she's a former champion here from 10 years ago in the girls' Wimbledon final. Do you think she can draw experience from that? And obviously, we know she's won a slam before at Roland Garros back in 2019 now. How much will she have to look to those experience this time out?
Well, she has great memories here, but in terms of the differenceness being on centre court with that huge crowd, and she'll really enjoy the atmosphere out there. She's very grounded, she's very mature with the way that she talks and keeps herself very calm and low-key. So she knows she's up for a challenge, but she'll definitely be having her eye on the prize to get through.
Yeah, and Kerber talks about she has to play her best tennis. I know everyone does, to beat Barty. What do you think, what threats will Barty be kind of posing to Kerber?
Well, she has great variety in her game. That slice is exceptional. It's the best on tour. She can knife it fast and short. She can hit the drop shot. She can float it long and just disrupt your timing. So that's what she'll be looking to do against Kerber this time. But they've had some quite split contests but haven't played for a while. They're both in different times of their game in terms of where they're at, and Barty being the world #1. So really will be an interesting challenge.
Can I ask you, Mel, who does have the edge out there in terms of those two?
It's very split when you listen to people, isn't it? But I'm going to go for Barty today, but I think we'll see a 3-set thriller.
Amazing. Okay, let's go on to the next semi-final as well then. Arina Sabalenka taking on Karolina Pliskova. Again, this one's a little bit different. Sabalenka getting as far as she's ever been in a slam before. Pliskova obviously kind of going all the way before back in the US Open when she made the final, of course. Do you think it's time for Pliskova to finally be a slam champion?
Well, she's been wanting that.
It's been a long time coming.
Since she's been in the semi-finals, and they both have the weapons and the game. So if their games are on point, both could be the ones looking forward to get through. I think Sabalenka's had a bit more firepower, a bit more thrill about her games, and will be looking to put that on. She's had the second biggest serve so far this championship's behind Coco Gauff, so that'll be a huge weapon, and it's going to be some big hitting tennis.
Yeah, Pliskova, I feel, has kind of gone under the radar a bit this time out. No one's really been talking about her, even though she hasn't dropped a set yet. How much will that help her and keep the pressure off?
I think it really has. She's been a little disappointed with the courts that she's been playing on. She wanted to be on the biggest stadium, says it's more of an advantage if you've been with those situations and the bigger crowds, and centre and one can play slightly differently to the outside. So she mentioned she was a little disappointed, but at the same time you can just go about your business and get on with the job, which she's done exceptionally well.
What would you favour? Going on the big courts in week one, or kind of going under the radar on the lesser courts?
I think everyone wants to be on the big courts. That's where the crowds are, that's where the atmosphere is, and it's just got all the history here at Wimbledon.
Yeah, and Sabalenka, of course, is the #2 seed. This is the furthest she's ever got in a tournament. She plays a big game. How will Pliskova defend that?
Well, she's going to have to serve well today with the way that Sabalenka's been playing, but she's also going to understand that there's going to be some nerves from Sabalenka out there today, and if she can get that first strike tennis in and just rush the swings and make her feel the pressure, then she could come out on top.
That's going to be a great matchup. Well, both the semi-finals are, of course. Someone who, unfortunately, Mel, didn't make it through to the semi-finals. We lost her at the round of 16, Emma Raducanu. We know that you actually played, I think, against her with Ankie Othavon when she was 11 years old, so quite a few years ago now. You know, she's still making stories in the press, around social media, possibly not for the right reason. People have been kind of judging her on how she kind of bowed out of this championships. But how have you made of how she's actually dealt with all of that as well?
I think she's dealt with it exceptionally well. I think she was very honest with her press conference the day after the fact that she was advised by the doctors to retire. So there were obviously a lot of signs there that she just couldn't continue, and she had to listen to that. But it'll also be a huge learning experience for her for the future, and the way that she can now develop. Physically, it would have been very taxing as well as emotionally. So there's a lot of work to be done for the future, but it's very exciting.
What do you think at this stage? Is it too early to say what can she achieve?
I think she can achieve a lot. I think we can be used to seeing her in the second week of Grand Slams, not just here, but all around the world. She's very good. She adapts to different surfaces, but but there's a lot of physical, mental work that needs to take place as well to match up with her game that also has areas for development, but she's in a very exciting prospect.
Yeah, absolutely. And she was at the Wembley, the England game last night as well. I wonder if Marcus Rashford gave her those tickets, because I know he tweeted her. We'll have to ask her, or you can ask her for us and come back later in the week and let us know. Mel, thank you so much. So right, let's go on to Emma Raducanu, obviously making her debut here. Someone who has been here for 13 years, though, is the groundsman here at SW19. Let's hear what he has to say.
I'm Scott Hurkacz. I'm a groundsman / irrigation technician. This will be my 13th championship this year. I'm just marking out the lines ready for practice this morning. So I will be marking out centre and 1 this year. In terms of the actual job, there's no difference at all. I would be lying if I said that the pressure of doing them two wasn't different to any of these. So we basically use strings sort of every single day, just sort of as a guide, give us that straight line every single time. If you actually see on some of the other courts now, we've actually got guys out with sponge mops and buckets. They're mopping out the ghosting lines, so where we've got a bit of a dewy morning, the mowers are actually transferring to the paint slightly. The quicker we sort of mop it out, the more obviously it's not noticed at all. Every single grass court has automated sprinklers, can pretty much water with a flick of the switch. We do have a computer system, but we'll basically decide what we're going to water, obviously weather dependent. There's other checks like how hard the courts are, moisture readings and that. When the guys are out here, once they finish, we will sort of ask them how they're playing. It is good to get their feedback and that, because obviously we have 18 championship courts, we have 20 practice courts. We want them all to be the same. So it's good to have professional feedback to see how they're playing. When you're here during the tournament, seeing people who have come in for the first time and how excited they are to be here, it makes you realise sort of how special the job is. You sometimes have to pinch yourself.
I know you like your gardening, Rachel. There's been plenty of gardening tips on the show so far. I'm expecting great things when we finally finish here with the tennis.
Well, gardening, and not so much about looking after courts, I'm going to say, Danny. I don't think I'll be that good at that irrigation and putting up nets and whatever else they have to do at the championships. But earlier on in the show, if you were joining us, we gave you a little quiz.
Yes.
So Amelia Noyes, an artist, she's been creating some great tennis digital art for us. And yesterday, she drew us Nick Kyrgios. Today, she drew us this lady here. It's obviously the first clue. She is wearing a dress out there at Wimbledon. And we asked everyone to let us know who they thought it was. We had a few incorrect answers, didn't we, Danny?
Sadly,
who did they think?
Well, it was a very strange sort of mix of people that were suggested as incorrect answers. There were lots of Angelique Kerber.
They're not that strange, though.
No, I suppose, well, some people said Coco Gauff, and here's a clue. That's not far off, is it really, Coco Gauff? Caroline Wozniacki and Marion Bartoli as well. People
I mean,
thought it might
I
be.
don't think I would have got this. You could literally pick any of the female tennis players who played here. Was one of the clues.
Should we see who it is?
Shall we?
Let's
Shall we
get it
uncover
animating on as we go.
the
here. But
lady?
yeah, I think this maybe was a little bit tricky, but I think as this goes through, you may be able to narrow down who it was. Lots and lots of people did end up getting it correct. So many we couldn't name them all, but congratulations, Janet Wraith. Well done, Jill Bray as well. You got it right. Well done, Errol Smith, and also John Michael Newbar. All of you managed to get this correct, along with lots and lots of other people, because it is
Serena Williams.
Of course it is. When you see it, it's obvious now, isn't it?
It's not when it's in kind of sketch
I don't know.
drawings, Danny.
Is this
No.
the dress was what gave it away for me?
I think I might have gone Caroline Wozniacki, apparently. But actually, then she didn't play. She's had a baby, hasn't she? So you guys weren't listening, were you? Because Danny did say they played this championship. But yeah, great that we have those pictures being sent in. We love having a little kind of quiz time with you guys, and we hope you enjoy playing it as well. Amelia Noyes, thanks so much for designing those great sketches for us as well. But Danny, we're almost coming to the end of the show. Where are you going today? Are you going to try and sneak into centre? Are you allowed to do that?
I'm not sure. I think it's going to be.
You got a ticket?
No, I don't.
No, then
sadly,
you're not.
it's going packed to the rafters today. I mean, those two semi-finals you were talking to with Mel my goodness, they're exciting, aren't they? As you were saying, the depth in the women's game right now is extraordinary, so I'm very much looking forward to both of those. Lots of doubles as well today, and the wheelchair tennis as well. That's really impressive if you've not seen that before. They've been warming up all the way through the show on the courts over to our left-hand side.
Totally. I've been having a little look over there, actually, and I've been kind of very intrigued.
Before?
Yeah, look, they're already out in
already
action.
out.
So, yeah, really excited to go and watch those guys as well. They actually made their debut, the quad doubles did, in 2019. So only back for their second ever time here. But yeah, I'm excited to see semi-finals, and in particular the first one, Barty Kerber, for me, that could almost be a final. So I can't wait to see who makes it through to the last two as well. But that's it from us, Danny, isn't it?
It is. Play's about to begin on all the outside courts, so follow all the action on the Wimbledon channel and on Wimbledon Radio as well. You can get them both on the smartphone app, get it downloaded. But until then, enjoy the semi-finals. I'm sure we will, and we'll be back same time, same place to round it all up for you tomorrow morning.